Hey gang, Joe Cannon from SupplementClarity.com. So Nutrafol versus Viviscal. Both are very popular with people with thinning hair, but which one is better? How do they compare to each other? In this video, I'm going to share you the ingredients of Nutrafol and Viviscal side by side, show you the research on both, and some of the pros and cons, and before and after pictures of people who've tried Nutrafol. So let's begin with the ingredients. And there's a lot to take in here, but I thought it was necessary to show you this because I was thinking about that person who might be at the store with Nutrafol in one hand, Viviscal in the other hand, and trying to make sense of them. So if that's you, this is going to help. Let's start with Nutrafol on the left. Right off the bat, they're recommending 4 capsules a day. Viviscal recommending 2 capsules a day. Something to think about if that's important to you. Now, they both, Nutrafol and Viviscal, they both have a variety of vitamins and minerals. Okay, I'm giving you the dosage of the vitamins here. For instance, with beta-carotene, vitamin A, they're giving you 5,000 international units. And over here next to that, you see that's 174% of our daily value, DV. Daily value is the amount of that nutrient we're supposed to be getting per day. And this is giving us, in the case of vitamin A, 175% of what we should be getting per day. If we look at biotin, for instance, in Nutrafol, they're giving you 3,000 micrograms. That comes to 10,000 times the amount of biotin we should be getting per day. Okay, I personally, I see biotin in a lot of hair supplements. So if you are shopping, you'll see biotin popping up a lot. I don't think any of these vitamins or minerals that you see in Viviscal or Nutrafol, I don't think they're the key ingredients, by the way. I think they're supporting nutrients. They may help the key ingredients work better. That's possible, but they're not the main ingredients. The main ingredients, the key ingredients in Nutrafol and Viviscal are found in the proprietary blends. Let's look at the Nutrafol blends first. Number 1, you see the Synergen complex. That's a proprietary blend. It's made up of 6 different compounds, okay? Collagen, ashwagandha, salpimento, curcumin, vitamin E, this is vitamin E, and hyaluronic acid. They all compose, they all make up 1680 milligrams, 1680 milligrams, and of that, the first thing you see makes up most of that proprietary blend, and then ashwagandha, then salpimento, curcumin, etc. Now, what I think is the key ingredient in these 6 compounds here, I personally think it's salpimento. Salpimento finds its way into many hair growth supplements, and as not only salpimento, but one of its key constituent compounds, and that is beta-sitosterol. Both of them find their way into hair growth supplements. Why? They inhibit an enzyme involved in hair loss. And basically they inhibit this enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. Don't need to know about that. But it prevents a rise in something called DHT. Too much DHT is implicated in hair loss. And so that's why you're going to see salpimento or beta-sitosterol in these other hair growth supplements. Now, you also see curcumin here. Curcumin is something found in is in turmeric. Turmeric is a spice, and it has an anti-inflammatory effect. And perhaps by dampening down inflammation, that might help slow hair loss. That's good. And in terms of the point number 5, that's the vitamin E complex here. That's an antioxidant. And my guess is probably by giving you some antioxidants, that might also help decrease the free radical buildup, which could lead to hair loss. Now, if we drop down to the other proprietary blend in Nutrafol, it's called the Nutrafol blend. Again, there's 7 of these compounds here. Most of this blend is made up of cysteine. Cysteine is an amino acid. It contains sulfur, and sulfur is found in hair. Hair, skin, and nails contain sulfur, by the way. And so my thought is they're giving you, again, some supporting nutrients to help hair growth, help the hair grow better and stronger. But again, I do think the key ingredient might be this salpimento ingredient. If we jump over to Viviscal, the proprietary blend, there's only one of them here in Viviscal. It's called the amino-mar complex, the amino-mar-marine complex, made up of 2 different ingredients, shark cartilage, shark powder, and mollusk powder, which they get from oysters. In my previous video on Viviscal, which I highly recommend you take a look at, I looked at the research on Viviscal and this marine complex, this aminomar marine complex, and showed you before and after pictures of people taking Viviscal. In this video, I'm going to show you before and after pictures of people taking Nutrafol, so see that other one as well. I'll link to it in the description. And then the last thing I'd point out with this table, which I know it looks a little complicated, is that the things in red that you see, like vitamin C, biotin, zinc, well, they're also found here as well. So the things in red are the common ingredients. I wanted to point that out because, again, when you look at these ingredient labels, they're a little complicated, and so I wanted to point out what they had in common. But again, I do think the key ingredients here are the aminomar complex for Viviscal, and again, this synergen complex in Nutrafol, of which I think Samplemento is the key ingredient, if not one of the main key ingredients. All right, let's leave this alone. Quick review of Viviscal Research. There's 4 different clinical studies on Viviscal that have been published in medical journals. There's some unpublished research too, but this is the stuff that I was finding in medical journals. What they all have in common, they all show Viviscal is working. Again, I'll link to that Viviscal review so you can see those before and after pictures. But let's look at the Nutrafol research here. There is some research on Nutrafol. Here is a study came out in 2018. It's a 6-month study of women with thinning hair. They either get Nutrafol or they get a placebo for 6 months. So what do they find here? Again, you got 40 women. They all have thinning hair, and they're compared to a placebo or Nutrafol. And they find that after 6 months, those women taking Nutrafol, they're said to have improved hair growth. The quality of the hair is better. The volume of the hair improves. The growth rate of the hair is better as well. And on the plus side, they say there's no adverse side effects. Same thing with Viviscal. They don't really report any bad side effects with that either. So that's good for both of them. The only thing with this study I would point out is that just jumped out at me. You had 40 women, but you have unequal numbers of people here. It's kind of a nerdy topic. Personally, I like even numbers of people in placebo groups and treatment groups, and I leave it to a statistician to comment on that. It's just something OCD Joe likes to see, even numbers of people, since you started out with 40, which could have easily been broken up into 20 and 20. But again, leave that for another day. It's again kind of a nerdy OCD topic for me, but I wanted to point it out for anybody who is thinking about or just taking a look at this research. Now, in this study, they do show you this nice little graph that appears to show that people have improved hair growth with Nutrafol over 6 months. That's nice, but let's look at the before and after pictures because that's really most important for most people. Before and after pictures. So we have this woman here where you see on the left side of your screen, here she is at day 0 before she started taking Nutrafol. And you can see, you can see her scalp, okay? But 3 months later, you can see more hair growth, especially I found interesting on the side of the head. That appeared to have improved. And then after 6 months, you do see a dramatic improvement in hair growth, in scalp coverage. Again, I was very interested in the fact that you saw more on the side of the head. That's something I don't hear many people talking about. It's mostly the top of the head, but here we saw something on the side. And again, seems to be more coverage up here as well. But that's one person. Here's another. So here's another person, another woman, and you see her on day 0. Again, you definitely see some of her scalp here. You still see some scalp here as well after 3 months, but then after 6 months, there's much less of her scalp showing. There's more hair that appears to have been grown over the course of 6 months after taking Nutrafol. And then you have this paper, okay? Now, this paper is basically, it's a review of how Nutrafol is supposed to work, all right? But within this paper, they do show some other before and after pictures. Let's take a look at them. So we have this woman, you can see the top of your screen, she's 52 years old, and at the top of your screen, you see her after 1 month of taking Nutrafol, and then on the bottom of your screen, you see her after 7 months of taking Nutrafol. More scalp coverage after 7 months, more hair growth, it appears to me. Okay, so that's very impressive if you ask me. And then you have this other individual. She's 45 years old, and at the top of the screen you see her before she started taking Nutrafol, and then here she is 4 months later. Again, there's more coverage of the scalp with hair after 4 months. That's very, very obvious to me. And then we have these two individuals. So on the left of your screen, you see this guy. He's 37 years old, and you can see the top of his scalp. And then 4 months after taking Nutrafol, there's definitely more hair coverage. You can still see his scalp, but it is better than it was before. And what I also found was interesting with looking at his picture, it looks to me like his hair changed color. And I thought that was a little odd because neither Viviscal or Nutrafol is supposed to change hair color. My thought here is either there's something with the lighting going on, or the Nutrafol is improving the vellus hairs. Vellus is the main hair you see on people's heads, and maybe all that extra coverage of those vellus thick hairs makes the hair appear darker. Again, I'll leave that to others to banter back and forth, but it's just something that occurred to me as I looked at his picture. And then if we look over to the right, we see this 38-year-old woman. You see her before, and then you see her again after 3 months. There's definitely more hair after 3 months than you saw in the beginning. So these before and after pictures, very interesting. Again, I'm going to keep referring you to that Viviscal review so you can see the before and afters for Viviscal. Now, pros and cons for each. None of them's perfect. Here's some things that jumped out at me that you'd be interested in. Number one, Nutrafol is more expensive than Viviscal. I will link to both of them so you can compare and contrast, but that's something that should be keeping in the back of your mind. There's less research right now on Nutrafol than Viviscal. And again, it's probably going to change over time, but right now I see more clinical studies on Viviscal than Nutrafol. But what they both have in common is the research on both of them shows they both appear to be working. Those before and after pictures are very interesting and very intriguing. And again, it is obvious something is happening. Next thing to realize is neither Viviscal or Nutrafol will work overnight or in a week or in a month. It's most likely going to take 3, most likely 6 months before you're going to see significant changes in the hair growth on your head. I suggest if you're going to try either of them, grab your cell phone and take pictures of your scalp when you start taking it 3 months later, and then maybe 6 months after that, and compare those pictures to each other. That'll tell you if it's working for you. And then the last thing is realize that I think the results are definitely going to vary because hair loss is complicated. It can't always boil it down to one thing. Hey, if we knew what caused hair loss, we would have a cure for it by now, and there is no across-the-board cure. Oh, and by the way, I do think both of them would probably work better if they were combined with minoxidil, which I'll link to down below as well. It's not as expensive as it used to be either. So there you have it, pros and cons, before and after pictures. Did either of them, Viviscal or Nutrafol, work for you? I'm kind of curious because the research is very intriguing, and those before and after pictures really do jump out at me and make me think there is something going on. So, but you tell me if they worked for you, if they didn't work for you, leave them a comment below, and I will be very interested to see what you have to say. Until next time, I'm Joe Cannon of supplementclarity.com. Take care, and I'll see you next time.